You may remember Fiona Hill, born to hard scribal British roots. She came to the United States in the 1980s, got a PhD in Harvard, studying Russia, and she became eventually the top Russia advisor on the National Security Council. Of course, she ended up serving under Donald Trump, which by proxy was almost like serving under Vladimir Putin. She was called during the first impeachment. You may remember that one, the one where Donald Trump held back aid from a guy you've probably heard of by now, Ukraine's President Zelensky, in a manner in which he was trying to get dirt to be released on Biden. That was untrue, Joe Biden, President Biden, and also to hurt Ukraine, which helped his guy. Back then, she was unbelievable. She was completely honest. Did not hesitate, didn't seem nervous. I'll give some quotes, from her testimony. Some of you in this committee appear to believe Russia and its security services did not conduct a campaign against our country. She, of course, was speaking directly to Devin, Nunez, and others who were denying that at the time. And that perhaps somehow, for some reason, Ukraine did. Sound familiar, everybody? Does all of this sort of start to make sense? Russia going into Ukraine? Okay, let me continue. Quote, "This is a fictional narrative that has been perpetrated and propagated by the Russian security services themselves. The unfortunate truth is Russia was the foreign power that systematically attacked our democratic institutions in 2016. Now, of course, she didn't have to come out and say they were helping Trump because everybody knew that. It was Trump's guys like Nunez who were sitting there, Jim Jordan and others, denying that anything happened in 2016, saying it was Ukraine, because if it was Russia, it was obvious what Russia was doing. They're the ones that met with Donald Trump Jr. in Trump Tower. They're the ones who got polling handed over to them by Paul Manafort to his buddy kilmenick. They're the ones who had Michael Flynn having clandestine phone calls with them, and more and more. You get the point. So Fiona Hill, when she says things, people tend to listen. She did everything but come out and say in her hearings back then, Donald Trump is guilty. And it was much more useful that she didn't do that, because she was able to give the background of those like, Ambassador Sondland and others, you may remember, who were doing Trump's bidding. Okay. Well, now she's come out and she said some other things. She's written a book and told us things that we already knew, in that about Donald Trump's intelligence, not individual things we already knew. I think the big headline from this is Fiona Hill says Putin, quote, got frustrated many times with Trump because the Russian leader had to keep explaining things to him, unquote. Can you imagine this murderous dictatorial presence, this oozing open wound of pus in Vladimir Putin, this vicious troll, and yet he has to sit there with the court jester on his lap, trying to explain his nefarious activities to him. It's in fact almost impossible to commit evil acts because of how dumb this person is. This feels like one of those mobster movies where you've got the dumb son or son-in-law and the evil head of the mob has to try to explain to them what to do until they just get flabbergasted. She said Putin often became frustrated. Quote, he had to keep explaining things, and Putin doesn't like to do that. No, Putin doesn't like to do that, I don't think. He'd rather attack and murder innocent people. But he had this dumb cough in Donald Trump where he had to. Hill said that factored into his decision even to invade Ukraine during a Biden administration. He didn't think he could actually explain things to Trump to get Trump to go along with him, and that Trump would screw things up if he tried to do it back when Trump was in office. Insanity. Talk about the sort of unintended consequences. So basically, she ended up by saying that, she said how frustrated he was. Even though he loves to be able to spin his own version of events, he wants to have predictability in the person he's engaging with. All right, so, we know Trump's a moron, we know Trump's a liar, and in the end, Trump was too stupid to even do business with. He couldn't find a way to collaborate and thought, if I invade Ukraine, he wrongly thought that the world wouldn't stand up to him, but at least he would be able to force negotiations with Joe Biden, someone who might actually understand what was going on. Of course, he made an enormous mistake. The world united, Biden united NATO. Finland and Sweden are about to join NATO, which is even more interesting because if you look at this, also you'll remember that John Bolton said that Trump didn't know that Finland wasn't part of Russia. He thought it was. So he would have just thought, hey, why is part of Russia joining NATO? It's sort of an incredible story. And it's an incredible story that this person, that there are people that would put him back in office, people with theoretically working cerebral cortexes that want this person who could not understand basic facts to be running our foreign policy in the future. In the end, Hill wrote, Trump's meager comprehension of international affairs was, quote, a major liability for U.S. national security. That's right. Russia was only able to get into the position they were able to get into with the weakness of the United States, so they could invade Ukraine, so they could be prepared, because Trump was doing everything possible to kill sanctions and leave us unprepared while he was in office. Once again, Vladimir Putin couldn't deal with Trump because he got tired of explaining things to him. Hey guys, if you like this video, please subscribe, please like it, please comment on it. Good things, bad things, neutral things, other things. Put on your notifications and you'll know when the next one drops. I'm sure there's other things you can do. I can't think of them right now. Please subscribe. We're growing rapidly and we'd love to have you here.